Hey, what's up? I'm Inezalea from ToleratedCinematics.com, and today I will be showing you how to create those creepy blue eyes from the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. Here we are in Adobe After Effects, and I have prepared a video file right here which you can download with link in the description. This is what we are going to use to replace my eye as a White Walker. So go ahead, link will be in the description. Download this footage if you want to follow along with this tutorial. Also, if you aren't subscribed already, be sure to subscribe to my channel because it's really awesome. I make pretty cool stuff, so definitely hit that subscribe button and also check that bell icon next to it so you get notified when I upload new stuff. So I will drag my original footage into a new composition right here by just dragging it on top of this icon, and here we have our video footage. So I will change my screen resolution to full, and there we have it. Go to the end of my timeline, just right here with the time scrubber, and first of all we want to actually track down our eyes. So I'm only going to be doing one eye for this tutorial as it's basically the same thing for both eyes. You just start over with this procedure. So I will click on my video footage and click on track motion right here in the tracker. If you don't see that, go to window tracker right here and just click on track motion. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to drag this icon right here on top of my pupil right here, and you can make it a little bit bigger if you want to, just in case, and there we have it. Once you've done that, we can click on track backwards because we are actually at the end of our timeline, so we have to track it backwards. Alright, so right here we had a small mistake, so what I'll do is just go back until we are sure that there is no mistake, like right here. And then I'm just going to hit this icon a few times. This is going to calculate it a little bit better, and once you think it's fine, we can track backwards again and just keep an eye on it. Pun intended. Almost done, and there we have it. So this is the entire track. It did a good job, and we're going to create a new null object right here and just rename this to pupil 1. And then we're going to edit the target of the tracker and just make sure that the null object is selected. Click OK, go to the beginning of your timeline and just click apply and just click OK. So there we have it. We have this null object tracked to my eye. Okay, so once you've done that, create a new composition. And this is actually going to be our eye comp itself. So we're going to click OK. There we have it. It's just checking the resolution. So it's actually full HD. It should be like, let's go for a square. So 1080 by 1080 and click OK. And there we have it. Create a new solid layer and we're going to rename this turbulent noise. There we go. Click OK and search for the effect and preset. Well, in the effects and presets, search for fractal turbulent noise. There we have it. We're going to apply this to our solid layer. There we have it. Okay, so I'm going to change my fractal type to a dynamic. I'm going to change my complexity to 12, and I'm also going to increase my contrast to something like 150. Open up the transform settings. Right here, we actually want to check off the uniform scaling. I'm going to change my width a little bit lower and my height like 350, something like this should do fine. And then we're going to apply an effect, channel invert, and there we have it. To invert this effect, looks a little bit better. And then we're going to search for polar coordinates. There we have it, and paste. Well, also drag this on top of your solid layer and change the rect to polar right here. So type of conversion, rect to polar, and then just change it to 100%. So now we have like our iris right here, and we can still play a little bit with the width right here if we want a little bit more detail. I think this looks pretty nice. We do have a seam right here, but this is going to get like fixed along the way. So maybe like 25. Okay, so this looks pretty neat. I'm going to duplicate the solid layer. So edit, duplicate while the solid layer is selected. And right here, we can actually maybe press S on the keyboard and maybe scale it down a little bit if you want to. And then we're going to search for like the circle effect, which is under generate. And we're going to apply this on the bottom right here. Increase the radius, something like so. Well, actually a little bit smaller. There we have it. and we're going to blending mode use the stencil alpha right here. That's actually going to just show whatever the circle radius is right here. We can open up the feather also and just feather it out a little bit, and what that will do is just add a little bit more detail in the center. I'm also going to scale it back up a little bit because I think it's a little bit too low. And there we go. Looks pretty cool. So you can build up this way, you can build up your eye. So I'm just showing you a few techniques so you can start doing your own thing. I'm going to click on this solid layer again and go to edit, duplicate again, and right now I'm going to change my fractal type to a string, so that will be right here, and I'm going to delete the invert, and I'm also going to increase the scale back to 100. Okay, and we can press T on the keyboard and just change the opacity to something like 20. So now we barely see these strings. I'm going to solo it for now, and I'm going to play a little bit more with the contrast right here, and also with the transform. So for the transform, the width can be a lot smaller, something like 10, and for the height, a little bit less, something like this, adding a little bit of detail in there, like so. We can also press R on the keyboard and just rotate everything a little bit, so we have a little bit of an offset for later on we want to fix that seam. So maybe you want to like duplicate this one as well and just rotate it a little bit, and then press T on the keyboard and just lower the opacity like to 50. Okay, cool. We're going to duplicate the top layer again, so edit, duplicate, and now we're going to change these strings to a basic, just a regular basic. We're going to solo this again and just open up the transform settings again and increase the height. Maybe change it to like 5, press T on the keyboard and just just put it back to 100 opacity. So something like this looks pretty cool. Maybe we want to increase the contrast and decrease the brightness a little bit, so we have something like this going on. And now we're in the effects and preset. We want to search for a ripple effect because we also have some kind of ripples in the eyes. So I'm going to apply this effect and then just increase the ripple effect right here and increase like the width a little bit, like so. And maybe play, the height is actually already a little bit too much. And there we go. Wave speed 0. And just make sure that everything is in order right here. Maybe a width of 25, 30. And a height of 10. Okay, so now we have a few ripples. We can uncheck this again and change the blending mode to something like additive. And then press T on the keyboard and just lower the opacity until you're satisfied. So now we have a little bit more detail in there. As you can see, actually the opacity is a little bit too low. And there we go. Maybe change it to a screen. It's a little bit better. A little extra detail. Press R on the keyboard and maybe rotate it even more. We can go back in here and maybe change this to 10. Okay, cool. Now I want to click on this one with the circle effect. I want to duplicate this layer, so edit, duplicate. We're going to put this on top and solo this for now. I'm going to duplicate the circle effect right here. So click on the circle effect, edit, duplicate, and we're going to lower the radius and just invert the circle. So now we have something like this. We can also uncheck the invert for now, and we can unsolo this and maybe change it to like a multiply. So now we have like a darker edge right here. And now what we want to do is press S on the keyboard and just scale it up a little bit, so we have some kind of darker out, like an outer edge right here, which looks pretty cool. And duplicate it once more and then scale it down like all the way in the center, and then just delete this circle effect right here. And press T on the keyboard to lower it maybe a little bit. So now we're like building up a little bit of depth in here. So duplicate once more and scale it up here and check the invert back on and change it to a screen. And just building up with these effects is going to add a little bit of depth in there. Okay, pretty cool. And now we actually have our eye, so I'm going to close everything down. What we want to do now is just create a new circle, so solid, and this is going to be our pupil. Click OK. And double click on the circle right here on the ellipse tool. This is going to make a circular mask. Just solo this for now. and toggle the transparency grid so you're sure that you see your pupil. Double click on it and just make it as small as you want to, something like this for now. Just unsolo it for now, and I'm going to press F on the keyboard and just feather it out by much. Then I'm going to search for the roughen edges effect, and I'm going to apply this to our pupil effect. That's going to add something like this. Right here in the add sharpness, just bring this down until you have like a softer center right here, and you can increase the border to make it a little bit more rough, like so. And then we can, well, you can basically open up the mask settings and increase the expansion and feather as you like. Maybe press T on the keyboard and just lower it a little bit. And have something like this going on. Maybe increase the complexity a little bit more and click on the pupil, duplicate it once more, and we're going to change our border to something like 10, and the sharpness is okay, and maybe in a scale of 300, and there we have it. Press M twice on the keyboard and just make this one smaller, and also the feather something like 30 or even a little bit more, but not too much, and just make it smaller. So this is going to be our actual pupil. And we want it to blend in everything, so that's why we're actually using this roughen edges, and this is going to make it look a little bit cooler. Okay, so without the roughen edges and with, looks a little bit more natural in my opinion. And there we have our eye. So and this is basically what we need in here, so that's it. And now what I want to do is select my last layer and just scale this one up, because I actually want my entire solid to be scaled up. Also for the second one, and there we go. So this is going to be our eye. Maybe we want to click on our pupils and just make them smaller as you desire. Okay, so this looks really, really cool. So fine tune everything as you like, and there I have my eye. So I'm going to stick to this. I have my eye completely made in here with the turbulent noise effect. So already you can see this is really, really cool. Go back to the original layer, and now we're almost done. So I'm going to my project manager, import my eye comp right here. Make sure that you're at the end of your composition right here, and just scale this eye comp until it kind of fits the pupil of your current eye. We can press T on the keyboard, change it to 50%, scale it to 25, put it into position, and then parent it to the pupil effect right here. Bring back the opacity, and now we'll see that it actually sticks to our eye, so that's already great. Then I'm going to create a new solid on top of that, and we're going to use this as our matte. Click OK, and I'm going to uncheck both of these right now. And for the matte, select it and go to the pen tool, zoom in here, and just try to draw our mask around our eye. Okay, so we masked out our eye. Maybe this one a little bit more in here. And there we have it. Press M on the keyboard and create a new keyframe by clicking on the stopwatch for the mask path. And then go back a little. Also make sure that our matte is actually parented to the pupil. And then just go back a little bit, click on here, and just readjust our mask. So maybe go to the center right here, readjust the mask. And there we go. And all the way till the beginning. In the center of these keyframes. And this should almost be perfect. So you can take as much time as you want to make it as perfect as you want. Okay, there we go. And then open up the mask settings right here and maybe change the feather to something like 10. And now what we want to do is check on our eye comp and just change the track matte. If you don't see that, toggle the switches right here and just change it to an alpha matte. Just make sure that the solid is on top of that layer, so the order is important. And now we have our eye right here, so pretty cool. Maybe feather it a little bit more, something like 20. Or actually 10 seems about right, but just increase the mask a little bit. Okay. Actually, 10 is a little bit much, so we're going to change it back to 5. Okay, so we have our eye in here, and it's already following along with our eye itself, so great. Now what we want to do is duplicate that mask solid layer. So duplicate it, create a new solid layer. And we can pick like a very dark blue color right here. Click OK and rename it to shadows. Put it below that matte and also change the track matte to alpha matte. Go to your ellipse tool, and while that solid is selected, just make another eye on top of it, something like this. Okay. Subtract our mask and press F on the keyboard and just feather it as much as you like. So now we're actually adding a little bit of shadows in there. We can open up the mask for the matte that we just duplicated. So double click on it and maybe expand it a little bit so we have more shadows than we have eye, and feather it a little bit more. So play around with all the settings, and now we're adding in a little bit of depth in here by adding shadows, as you can see, which looks pretty cool. And there we have that. Okay. We're going to create a new adjustment layer, and we're going to put that on top of everything. Reflections. Okay. Again, take your ellipse tool and make an ellipse like so. And also parent it to that pupil. And actually, we should create a new track matte that actually tracks somewhere around here. We could do that, but the pupil isn't moving that much, so that's why I'm using the pupil. The best way to actually do this effect is to track something that isn't moving. Your pupils are moving separately from your eyes, so try to track something like this or this part, something that doesn't move and is in this area. But for this, it will work. Okay, so apply an effect curves to that effect and increase the brightness a little bit. Go to the blue channel, increase the blues, red channel, decrease the reds. For the green, maybe increase the green just a touch, and then press F on the keyboard and just feather it as much as you want. And there we go. Press T on the keyboard and lower it to something like 35. So now we have like a slight reflection on the inside here, which actually casts like light reflections to our nose and everything. So something like this. Okay. Now we want to actually recolor our eye. So we have our eye comp right here. What we want to do is go for effect curves as well right here, and maybe add a little bit of contrast in there if you want to. Go to the blue channel, increase the blues. Well, actually the blue channel. I'm also going to my project manager and change the 8 bits per channel. I'm going to change that to 32. Click OK, and that's going to allow us to work with a little bit more colors, and it's going to come in nicely if we're going to start adding glows. So, and that's for later. Go back to the eye comp effect controls and remove the red channel a little bit like so. And the greens, we can increase them a little bit. And for the contrast, I'm going to add a little bit more contrast in there. Actually, I'm going to open up this comp again and just try to play a little bit with the contrast in here. For this layer, for example. Okay. And now we're getting more details. So play around with all these settings. You're going to get different results. Then after everything, I'm going to apply an effect, tint effect right here, and just lower it to something like 25. So now it's not as saturated. Okay, duplicate your original footage. Now what we want to do is extract the reflections of our original eye and just put it on top of our new eye. So here we have some highlights. So go to the effects and preset and search for Luma key. Apply that to your video footage, and now just increase your threshold. And if you're going to solo this, like just this portion, that's what we want. We can also feather it a little bit like so, and solo this again. And now we're going to change this to an additive, or maybe a screen. So as you can see, now we add a little bit of reflections in there and it's making it look a lot cooler. So you can add as much as you want. And feather as much as you want. And instantly that makes it look a lot more realistic. Okay, cool. So there we have our eye. We have something like this. And now if you want to fade the effect in on top of your original eye, something I also did is lower the opacity for our eye comp. So actually our original eye is still coming through a little bit, just a slight touch. And then apart from that, what you can do is click on the matte right here, go for a roughen edges, effect, apply this to the matte right here, and increase the border as much as you need until you don't see the effect. Click on the stopwatch for the border, move a few frames forward and change it back to 0. And now you have a cool animation on the eye that's actually coming, becoming visible. We can lower the sharpness right here and also alt click on the evolution maybe and type times 150. That's going to animate our evolution just a little bit. And then for the scale, you can change it to 50 or whatever you want. And for the complexity, maybe to 6. And now you have a cool transition of your eye that's actually becoming visible. We can go to the beginning right here of our animation, click on our roughen edges, copy it, Control C, click on the new matte for the shadow, also paste it over here. And then for the other effects, press T on the keyboard, change it to 0, move forward and change it to 1, well, to the original state. Okay, and let's preview. And now you have a cool fade in like so. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a like. Also subscribe to the channel and definitely check out our website. We have a bunch to offer for filmmakers, motion graphics artists, and well, a bunch of stuff like assets, templates. Definitely check it out. Links will be in the description and then I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.